All right, welcome everyone. Holding by Pirke Avos, Ethics for Fathers, as it is known. Again, more welcome. Holding by Pirke Avos, Ethics for Fathers, as it is known. We are in chapter 2, Mishna 16. This is part 11 or part 12. There'll definitely be part 13, 14, 15. Etc. So the Mishnah says, in the name of Rabbi Yeshua, an evil eye, evil inclination, hatred of other people, remove a person from this world. So we've been speaking the last number of weeks about the evil eye and how it works. We spoke the last few weeks in the name of Rabbeinu Yonah that basically an evil eye means you're not happy what you have. Right? You're not satisfied with what you have. You're jealous of your friends. They have, better livelihood. They have better kids. They have better, you name it. They're jealous and want what someone else has. So we said, it's caused damage to them, caused damage to their friends, right? Person probably transgressed prohibition of Lashon Hara, speaking badly against others. And, as the experts of nature, Rabbeinu Yonah says, what do they say? Person who desires what their friend has contaminates their thoughts. Right? Again, you don't have to be wise to understand this, but even people of nature, people understand. People understand, nature, what goes on. What goes on in the world, I would say in general. But, I would think that's something, obvious because you're hoping and wanting something that, someone has. So throw this out there also. One of the 10 commandments is don't covet. That is one of the 10 commandments. Now, don't covet can also mean, let's say you convince someone to sell something, even against their will, right? You hang them over a cliff and you say, when you want to, sell your property to me, they're like, no. They're like, okay, right, I'll make you this offer. No. Make you another offer. No. Right, then you start to lose your grip a little bit. They say, okay, I'll sell. I'll sell. Very good. They're at the agreement, the person sells, it's a good sale. Now, whether it's a good thing to do or not, that's a different issue. Right? But it's a good sale. Why is it a good sale? Why should it be a good sale? Because the Gemara says that the person himself is a Gemara and Gemara Machna. What's a Gemara Machna? He agrees with fullness of heart. He agrees to sell it, and he sells it. Now, I remember learning this many years ago, so I had a very simple question. And the question was, let's say in his mind, he's thinking, if I could get it back, I would. I don't really want to sell it, but I'm under duress, right? They come, they figure out a way how to maybe get away from this person later on. Let's say years down the line or whatever it is. So they decide that's the way they're going to go. That's their intention. What's the problem? What's the obvious problem? They sold it. If they come in front of Beis Din, they'll say, did you sell it? Yes. Did you sell it with a full heart? They can say no. They can say, listen, the only reason, I sold it, or the person will say the reason they sold it is because they're being held over a cliff. Right? They're being hung over a cliff. Very good. So he said, I had no intention. I had intention, not to sell it. And eventually get it back. Some way I'm going to get it back. Very good. Some way I'm going to get it back. So if some way I'm going to get it back, I got to do that. Right? It doesn't matter how the person's going to do it. But they had intention to get it back. Very good. $1 million question. Beis Din's going to ask. Again, did you have intention to sell it? Yes or no? Person's going to say, I had intention to sell it, but, right? No buts here. Right? No buts. Did the person sell it? Person sold it. It's a good sale. Right? So what do I have over here? Intention. Right? I have intention over here. Because in this case, Reuven wants Shimon's property. Or wants whatever Shimon has, whatever it is. And he convinces him to sell it. Now, let's say not even under duress. He's badgering him, right? He's maybe an extreme case, right? But let's say he badgered him. Finally, the person says, fine, I'll sell it. He doesn't get top dollar for it, so I'll sell it. Total prohibition of coveting. Now, what's the novelty? What's the novelty over here? The person sold it. He sold it 100% with their own knowledge. They sold it. That was their intention. Well, they can say, well, the only reason I sold it is because you were badgering me. Okay. In the end, did he sell it? Sold it. So covet doesn't mean, to transgress the law, the total prohibition of coveting, can also mean even when you pay for it. Even when you get it legally. Because you wanted it. You wanted it from someone else. You desired it from someone else. Right? Now, you could say an easier definition would be when he doesn't sell it, when he just desires it. And, desiring in your heart, in general, is that forbidden or not? Depends. Right? It's a great answer. Depends. It's going to depend over here. Whether, a number of factors. So, says Rabbeinu Yonah over here, when a person desires something that somebody else has, it burns in them. They want it. Maybe they want it more than anything else, at least at the moment. But they feel they should have it. And it burns inside of them. Says Rabbeinu Yonah, since it burns inside of them, that person is jealous. Very good. If that person is jealous, then it brings about this problem. Because then God's going to open up the file. And God's going to say, what's going on? Why does the person really want it? Is the other person flaunting it? Is the other person doing something where the person really wants it? So God opens up the file. And God's going to say, is the person guilty or not guilty? So the person can say, what does the person want from me? So what if I build an extension on my house? I need the room. Okay. It's probably not a problem. Yeah, you need the space. But if you're doing it in an ostentatious way, you're doing it to brag, this and that, it's a problem. Right? That's going to be a problem. But if not, if you're doing it because you need the room, then that shouldn't be a problem. But the point is, you made someone feel bad because you really desired it. Again, it could be your own problem. You have a problem that you want this thing. You desire this thing. Right? Now, if the other person didn't do anything wrong, very good. Then it should be affected. But if God looks into the file and says, well, they did other things wrong and this is part of it and whatever, they can be seriously punished. But what's the bottom line? What's the bottom line here? The bottom line is the person wants something he doesn't have. He wants something that someone else has. Or he feels, even if the person has it, they should have it. They're missing something. What exactly are they missing? Another gadget? They're missing, they feel bad because, this person has a stellar family, let's say. Good livelihood, all the good things. Okay. So what? Why is the person looking what someone else has? Right? We've spoken about this, but it's good to harp on because people do it all the time. Right? We mentioned before, a person meets someone for the first time. When a person meets someone for the first time, what are the first questions they ask? Where are you from? And what do you do? Right? I'm not going to ask you, I mean, when someone's really obnoxious, how much money you make. I don't think most people are going to ask necessarily that. They might figure it out in their head. Well, the person does this, you make about that much, whatever. But they ask what you do. Doesn't really matter what a person does. Is that how they're defined? Right? People define other people by what they do. Now, you tell me someone's in an altruistic business or whatever they're doing it for the sake of other people. You see what type of person is. Most people out to make money. Some make more, some make less. That's not the point. Right? What is the point? They're doing whatever in order to put money on the table. Right? Put food on the table. Okay. Now, that being the case, how can someone be defined by that? Someone's a consultant. Someone is a doctor. Someone's a lawyer. Someone, I don't know, is an actuary. Someone's involved in real estate. Someone's involved in, I don't know, whatever they're involved in. Yeah. They're in building. They're a contractor. They do marketing. I don't know, whatever a person does. How in the world does that define who they are? And why should it? And why should we look at the person and say, oh, he does this, so it must be this, that, who gives us the right to judge? Right? We're not here to judge other people. True. But we should never, look at the other person just by what they do. Because what they do doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Let's say better, does not define who they are. A person can be in a certain business, certain occupation. You assume they should make a lot of money. And what if they don't? So you can say, well, they should have done this, should have done that. Everyone's, Monday morning quarterback, okay. But doesn't define who we are. And how much money a person has, and what they do with it also doesn't define necessarily. Forget what they do with it. Another issue, right? How much they make. That defines who a person is. We live in a sick society, so people will size up a person and say, oh, he only makes this amount. This person only makes that amount. I make much more. Like, okay, like you're God's gift to the world. That's what defines a person. So in the States, other places, it does. Status matters. Car you drive matters. Type of house you have matters. Here in Israel, everyone's in the same boat. Some better, some worse. Everyone's struggling to survive. Some have it easier, some not. Get married for your kids. That's a whole different thing, a whole different calculation. Right? The Satmar Rav, blessed memory, once said the biggest miracle in the world was not the 6-day war. So it's how religious people marry off their kids. Right? It's a big miracle. Got a lot of stories in my own life. Right? Seen by other people also. How marry off your kids. It's miraculous. In many ways. But the idea is, what should it matter how much a person makes? Because we know Bala Mea Bala Dea. Person has 100 or 1,000 or 10,000, people want to hear what they have to say. Right? Anyone ever remember those E.F. Hutton commercials, right? E.F. Hutton, right? And everyone's like, everyone's listening to what they have to say. So a person has money. We want to hear what they have to say. They have power, they have influence, for better or for worse. Right? They have influence. I'm not saying it's good. Still got some people get a lot of money, they think the world is flat. I don't know. You ever read the Encyclopedia Britannica on the subject? I don't know if it still exists, probably online. They're a lot of idiots also. Who cares what they say? Not interested. What do they know from anything? Okay. But to define a person by what they make. Forget about what they do with the money, what they make. People will size up a person based on occupation. It's insane. And there are occupations that, much more important. Let's say teachers that should be paid a lot more for what they have to do. What their obligations are. Why shouldn't they be paid like a lawyer? They have a lot greater responsibility. Right? But at the same time, At the same time, it's like, okay, they size up how much a person makes. Sometimes, again, people say, oh, they're a teacher, they're social worker, even though they know, they're not going to make a lot of money. But why do they do it? They want to help others, right? They're in it to help others, regardless if they make a lot of money or not. Okay, what to be said for such a thing? A lot of respect for such a thing. But other people, it's incredulous. I'm not saying everybody does it, but I'm just saying in general, how do people size up other people? By what they do. That's insane. What people do in the bigger scheme of things, they do in order to make money. That's what they do. And that's what they're good at, or whatever. That's what they're doing. That's where they found their niche. Whatever it is. Because the Bible says, in general, and Sharpie Tachum, the gate of faith and belief in God. And he says a person should be able to make it in this world one or two ways. Make it meaning financially. Either God gave you brains or brawn. Meaning, if he gave you brains, the person's smart, doesn't mean you have to be a genius. Person, has a nice IQ, let's say. So, practically speaking, they should be able to make money. They should be able to succeed, whatever they do. Right? To be able to make money. Now, what if someone has brawn? What if somebody is not so smart? Not everyone's the same. You can have people that apply themselves more. So, could be they'll have, nice set of brain power. It could be. Other people they're not academically inclined. There are people like that. There's no interest. No interest in studying. No interest in learning. Right? Things don't interest them. Okay. How are they going to make money? Don't forget about whether you need a college education. That's, I would say most people don't, even though I think most of the world's been brainwashed saying you need to go to college, otherwise you won't get a job. But it's totally not true. Plenty of people, have jobs, nice paying jobs, that they never went to college. But in general, if you don't have brains or, you're not that bright, God will give you brawn, will give you strength. He'll give you a way to do, blue collar type of stuff. That's the way you make money. Either way. Now, you can have people that are not so bright. Somehow they come up with an idea. And it goes, right? Even without brawn, right? They come up with an idea and it goes. Could happen. But see, the Orthodox says it's impossible for a person in this world in general not to be able to make it. Impossible. Right? Why impossible? Because he gives everyone the opportunity. God gives everyone the opportunity to make it one way or another. Either with brains or brawn. But there's one X factor. In either case, the X factor is God himself. So even if they have brawn, let's say, and God doesn't like what they're doing, he injure them. Can't work. Right? It happens. People fall, people throw out their back. Other things can happen. So they're not able to make money. Or they struggle. You take somebody who's got brains. Something happens, bad decisions. Can also lose their job, also suffer. You're going to say, no, it doesn't really happen that often. It certainly can. Right? The X factor is God himself. God will either make people or break them. Right? Nothing in between. That's what he does. But you have to remember, it's not based on what I do. Right? Not based on what I do. The Chosva says, very good. Very good. You got to put your best foot forward. Okay. Right? That no one disagrees. Right? You got to put your best foot forward. Okay. Is that a guarantee for success? No. So the Chosva says you still have to do it. Well, the Chosva also says, just throw this out there, he says that whenever you do it, should be something you like. Something you're good at. Now, not everything you're good at brings in money. How many writers out there, actors out there, they're doing other things to put food on the table until they make it. Until either they write something or they find acting work, different things. That's what happens. I'm not necessarily saying it's oversaturated, but it's hard to make money from these things. So you got to do something else. Yeah, I know someone said they have a grandchild. They have a grandchild that is whatever, is an um, avid golfer and very good, right? Was very good. And like they were adamant, said you're not making money from golf. Like, get a real job. Do something that's going to bring in money. Golf may bring in money, but you got to be like one of the best. And if you're not one of the best, you're just not going to cut it. You won't make money. You got to train, right? You got to train a lot. So, unless you're like top of your game, and even if you are top of the game, doesn't mean you'll make it. So this person said, no. They told them straight out, get a job, find something you want to do and do it. But you're not playing golf. And there were people that won't listen. They'll do it. They may make it. They may not make it. But you can see, a lot of wasted years. They got talent, but it's not good enough. Now, many people try, baseball and they go through the, minor leagues. And there are people that by the time they get called up to the majors, they're older already. 27, 28, 29. Stories of people in the minor leagues for years. Now you can, stay there, try and get better, try and, why do you want to get to the majors? Obviously, you want to play at the top level, but you want to make money. That's where the money is. So how long are you going to play at that level till you decide you're not going to do that? Okay. Yeah. What people want to do, get in and get out, make as much money as they can, right? Make as much money as they can. It's true. They get endorsements, other things. But, the whole of us says clear. You got to do things that you're good at. Now, even if you're good at it, someone will say, well, I don't make so much money from it. So why isn't God giving me livelihood? Because not everything you're good at makes money. Writing in general doesn't make you money, right? Unless you're doing, let's say, you're doing, what do you call it? Let's say copywriting or, other type of writing that's going to bring in money, right? It's not a guarantee either because it's going to, find clients and all that. Okay. But, writing books and other things, people don't make so much money from it, right? Books don't sell. Certainly in the religious world, they don't sell. I mean, they might, but you're not going to make money from it, right? The only reason people are going to write books is to get a name, right? But they're not writing books to get it's not a money thing, right? I thought about it a lot. I got my book. Eventually, I could get it out there. Could put it out there. There's no money in it, right? So there's really no money in it. So, but why would people do it? Why would people put out things? Let's say in English on Torah, get a name. I mean, anyone can put out anything. It's very easy to do, right? Not so hard to do. But money wise, you're not gonna make money from it, right? Right? You're definitely not gonna make money from it. So people do it for name recognition. Okay, so that's worth something. Could be worth something. So you have to know, like, a person can't say, I'm in this field and I love what I do. It doesn't make money. God's not helping me. No, not true. You're making whatever you're making, but it's not a field that makes a lot of money. So a person does that, and you can't say, well, God's not helping me and I'm doing the wrong thing. Who says you're doing the wrong thing? You just know that it doesn't make money or it doesn't make a lot of money, right? Even something, any rabbi of a synagogue, most likely they have at least 1 or 2 jobs plus. A synagogue doesn't pay enough. So as much as you want to do that and work with the congregation and, whatever you're doing, that's great. And counseling and other things, beautiful. Inspiring people, tremendous. That doesn't make a lot of money. And the Orthodox world doesn't. You want to be a charlatan and a quack, you be a reform and conservative rabbi, you make big money. Right? That's where the money is. All you have to do is entertain people. right? They're the ones making the big money. Okay, but it's all false, so yeah, it doesn't matter. But the point is that they have to have other jobs. But God should help them. Look what they're doing for the community. You're right. That's all true. What about rabbis in schools? They're very well underpaid, extremely underpaid. They do tutor on the side sometimes. Sometimes do other things, but they're underpaid. In every school, just about every Orthodox school, yeshiva is usually in the red. They ain't making money from it. Hopefully they break even. But the stats of living goes up. And their wages should also go up. But what they're doing, they are teaching the next generation. Women the same. And women are not going into that field. There is a shortage of women teachers. So they pay less. Pay a lot less. There's an article earlier. People will be bemoaning the fact that women don't make the same salary as men. So there was a woman who wrote in who she teaches in a girls' school. Her husband's a rebbe in an elementary school. And she said, let's call it out here. My husband works more hours than I do. Right? Many more hours. Not only does he work more hours, days that I have off, they don't have off. Boys' schools don't have off very many days. Right? So if you add in the amount of time plus the days that they don't take off, it's much more. So they should be paid more. So she claimed it's not a problem with discrimination. They have many more hours. Right? It's a practical thing. They have 2-3 hours more a day at least. And you add all the days the girls' schools have off and this and that, and boys keep going. A whole different thing. Right? Girls finish earlier, certainly in the summer, than boys do. They have more days off. You add it off. It's not discrimination. They have more hours. Right? So, even so, the salary should be commensurate with what they're doing. And they're educating the next generation, but, for women, they get paid even less. So the fact they get paid even less, who wants to go in that field? It's a lot of hours. It's a lot of, a lot of hard work goes into it. They're dealing with kids, dealing with parents, and, creating papers and different things. Okay, there's a lot that goes into it. They're very much underpaid. So a lot of women today, especially those who want to, support their husbands in learning, right? They can't be a teacher. Even as idealistically as they would want to be, and as good as they would be, right, which we're not denying, they're not going into that field. Why are they not going into the field? No money. Now, can God take care of your needs anyway? Sure. But if you're in a field that doesn't make money or doesn't make a lot of money, then you can't rely on miracles. You can't say, well, God's going to take care of my needs. If someone's idealistic and they're going in saying, yeah, we'll scrimp like this, we'll do this, we'll do that, they'll do it as long as they can do it till it's feasible. But if it's not feasible, and it's not going to be feasible in the future, they're going to think twice and think 3 times. There's a shortage. There is definitely, a shortage, certainly for women, right? For women teaching in girls' schools, definitely a shortage. But again, even by men, they're not getting paid what they should. Why shouldn't someone teaching kids? We're going to, we need to be inspired, and there's going to be the next generation. Why shouldn't they not get paid like a doctor or lawyer? Then you can say, what about tuition? Tuition go up to, single biggest problem in Jewish households today, right? In religious households today is tuition. Parents won't be able to afford it. It's always a problem. They have to raise a lot of money. Not necessarily going to throw out somebody who doesn't have money, but, within reason, pay something, try and pay something. They say rich people should get involved, set up a fund, this, that, okay. But, a lot of schools run on a deficit. And and there are principals that, will say, okay, if you want to pay full tuition, this is the amount. Well, it's not full tuition. Because they're lacking a certain amount, but for them, that's full tuition. They have to raise the rest. So some have said, okay, the people that can pay, we'll tell them what full tuition is. We'll tell them what full tuition is. And the ones that can't pay, we'll tell them this, that, whatever. But they're going to have to raise a lot of money. And people in these schools, they are not making money. That's not a money-making thing. It's also a certain amount of debt they themselves can take on. But we got to pay it back. Right? Eventually, you got to pay it back. So it mentions that parnasa is determined on Rosh Hashanah, right? The person's livelihood is determined on Rosh Hashanah. No matter what you do, it's always going to be that amount. Now, that could change, though. That certainly could change. Even though it's decreed, it doesn't mean it can't change. In other words, the person can make more money. What happened to the change? Sorry, what happened to the amount guaranteed? Very good. There's a certain amount guaranteed. Okay. Right? But based on the person's actions, could change that. So you want to know, okay, a person makes less money. Right? They make less money. They know they make less money. Good. Fact that they make less money, God will take into that account. Right? They'll say, okay, this is what they're going to make. Now, this is what they're going to make. What does that mean? What if, we'll use the ideal. Let's say the woman teaches in a school, and the husband is a rebbe in a boys' school. Yeah, let's say. So together they make a certain amount. Yeah, after tax. So very good. They make a certain amount. They make a certain amount, then God's going to take off for, medical bills, other things, or whatever. They make a certain amount at the end. Now, what if that certain amount is barely enough to live on? Now, can't God give them more? Sure, He could. Right? Now, it could come in different ways. Someone could get money, back taxes. I don't know. Someone get money, other ways. But you're right. What's guaranteed, what God says, what God fixes, that's true. But that doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be enough for a person to live on. It's a different thing. Right? A person is going to earn whatever they earn. But in the end, you're right, it is guaranteed how much a person is going to make from when on Rosh Hashanah. So that's true. So that guarantee can be even if they're not making so much money. Right? They choose fields that don't make a lot of money, let's say. Now, can a person live on that? Depends how much. Depends what they do. There are people trying to make it work, but they'll go on vacation. They barely go out to eat. They scrimp and they save or try and whatever. That, again, that's not a contradiction. Because God gives them according to what they need. Or, let's say better, according to what He's going to give them. So if they're in a field that makes less money, they'll get less. It doesn't mean other things will not be taken care of. Doesn't mean they won't have their needs taken care of. They'll have their needs taken care of. More or less. Right? Could be less. Right? But that's not a contradiction. Now, if they were in a field, let's say that makes a lot more money. Let's say they're in a field that can make double the money of both of them. Right? Let's say. At the same time, they could have other deficits where they don't make that much money. Right? In other words, they could have medical bills. They could have, car problems. They could have all kinds of issues. They could have all kinds of issues where they end up making, let's say, 20% less. Now, if they make 20% less, remember, that was how much they were supposed to make on Rosh Hashanah. Right? So let's say God says that they're gonna make in the end, I don't know, combined, they're gonna make $60,000. Right? Let's say they're gonna make $60,000. Now, if they make $60,000, it could be that they were really supposed to make $80,000. Right? Okay, so you got taxes, you got other things, but they got losses also. They can have other things. That's car issues. They have medical bills, other things. So if you subtract, I mean, it's really hard to figure out, but at the end of the day, after taxes, and if you take into account medical bills, other things that you bought or whatever, that happens. So you subtract all that, that's what you're supposed to make. The person could have made a lot more, but, comes out with, let's say, 20% less, and that's really what they were supposed to make, right? A person could make less money. Let's say they make less money, but they don't have any other issues. They don't have car issues. They don't have, medical bills, right? Let's say they don't have any of this. Okay. So they don't have that loss. They're supposed to make whatever they're supposed to make, but it's less. Right? So people make the mistake and say, well, I'm in this field, I'm doing it idealistically, and God's gonna take care of the surplus. That doesn't necessarily mean that. Person will get what they need, right? But let's say every month they're a couple $1,000s short. Does that mean once down the line God's gonna have a surplus from somewhere else? Maybe that'll happen, or maybe it won't. Maybe they got to figure out how they're gonna make ends meet. So people will do it. If they're idealistic, they'll do it as long as they can do it. But until they can't do it, right? Until they're losing too much, and the windfall is not coming in any way, shape, or form, that's a different issue. Then they'll have to make an evaluation. The question is, how long do you wait for that to happen? So I think most people have an idea, like the way we do it for a certain amount of time. Like there are people that are idealistic, want to be involved in Jewish outreach. Yeah. What's the problem with Jewish outreach? There's no money in it. Remember, told me, a lot of people told me, listen, you're so good, do this, do that. And why don't you be on the front lines? I said, you want to pay for it? You want to find someone to pay for it? Find someone to pay for it, good. Right? Where's the money going to come from? You can be good, and this and that. That doesn't bring in money. Right? That doesn't bring in money. Again, most people in outreach have other jobs that are bringing in money. That doesn't bring in money. The other person's a well-known speaker. They go to different places, speak here, speak there. They're making enough money doing that. Okay. Most kiruv organizations do not have money. They don't have money. What? In general, they're relying on donations. They have to fundraise a lot. Right? So a person could be idealistic, tremendously idealistic. It doesn't mean money's coming in. Right? People will say it's best field to be in because someone becomes religious or whatever, and they're coming, so you get a portion of all their mitzvahs. Very good, right? That is true. It's a good investment, 100%. People involved have to be very idealistic. Very, very idealistic. They do it when they're young, when their kids are young. They don't have as many expenses. Once they, kids start getting older, you get more expenses, then it's a different issue. Also there's a problem, people get burnt out. It's another issue. Right? People, even as idealistic as they are, they have guests every week and people drain them, speaking to them and this and that. It's, people get burnt out. 100%. People get burnt out. So, that's why there's a turnover. But a lot of people involved in Jewish outreach do it when they're young, right? It's unrealistic to think a person's going to be doing it for years and years and years, right? Because there's just not money in it, unless you have other ways to make money, so you can do that. Or you do it on the side. I know someone who's in charge of a kiruv organization. He's an accountant by trade. That's what he does, right? But when he's not doing accounting, he's busy doing all these other programs, and different things, and he's running this organization at the same time, right? But he's an accountant. There are people who have other jobs because this doesn't pay, right? Definitely doesn't pay. So if a person's willing to live according to that ideal, and they'll do whatever it takes, very good. So what? If they're gonna do it, good. But you can't do it forever. First of all, won't be able to do it forever for a number of reasons. One main reason is money. That's the main reason. They won't be able to do it. But the second reason is because you get burnt out. It's draining. People sucking you for knowledge, asking all kinds of questions. It's not a problem. It's just it can be draining. It can also be depressing. Hearing people's stories and what they go through, and this thing can be inspiring also. But at some point over the years, it's hard. People can't get burnt out. That's why there's turnover. That's why a person has, you have to be on top of your game also. People much younger than you. Maybe you're part of the same generation, or a little bit older. Okay, so so you can discuss things, with your peers, because they're really peers. You're much older, you got to know, head of yeshiva I saw a couple weeks ago. I used to work there, and I saw him at a wedding, and he was telling me the Chofetz Chaim says that every couple of years, like a new generation, before the Messiah comes. So you got to be able to speak to people that every couple of years, lingo changes. Where people are holding change. So that's not an easy thing. But again, if a person can adapt with that, good. Sometimes say the older generation is a little bit out of tune. It depends. Right? It really depends. That's why I say you got to have the pulse on what's going on. Doesn't mean, you have to look at every news story and different things, and and analyze things up to gazoo. Not saying that, you have basic knowledge what's going on in the world. Right? Which most people do. So, but you're going to have a discussion about politics, this, that. So again, you got to discuss it from a Torah perspective. Very good. But you have to be on your game. Because if you're out of touch, you're out of reality, so to speak, you won't have any connection with them. Again, I'm not saying, you have to go to ball games with them and discuss this and discuss that. Okay, you can discuss things in generalities. And know who the biggest, pop star is today, or actor, or I don't know, professional athlete. I'm sure most people are aware of some of them. We don't live in a, we don't live in a, what's it called? We don't live in a cave. So we know what's going on. Sometimes more, sometimes less, right? But you have to have, there's some level of connection. Because otherwise, then you can't relate, in general. But again, I'm not saying you have to know every nook and cranny what's going on in the world. I wouldn't go that far. It's a waste of time. Right? You have a general knowledge. They're both bear of blessed memory to what was going on in the what do you call it? In the during the Holocaust. Baruch Bear was in charge of was head of the yeshiva of Kamenetz. But he's still, he's look at the headlines, what's going on. That was it. Didn't do more than that. After a while, I didn't even do that. But does the person really have to do that? I wouldn't say necessarily. Like a friend of mine would say, if there's a war, I'll find out about it. What do I have to know more? What do I have to know more? Some people say you have to be a little bit informed. Okay. Right? Different opinions. Different opinions, on that. But I would say if a person's a little more informed, again, it doesn't have to be a lot, but they're a little more informed. So they know where the person's coming from. They know what's going on. They can relate better. Someone can't relate, it's hard. It's gonna be hard to have any sort of effect. right? You're not going to be able to really affect anybody so much, if you're not on their wavelength. Now, I would say based on that, people say, oh, it's heresy. What about people who only sit and learn Torah, so they have a connection on that level? As long as they can bring the Torah to the person themselves, bring it down to this world, forget about sports, everything else, doesn't matter. But if they can relate the Torah and bring it down to the level where the person's going to understand it, so they can have a connection that way. They have a strong connection that way. But they have to make it real to the person. If you're talking about, oxes goring each other and different things, person I don't relate to that. Say, okay, so instead of an ox goring each other, a car hit another car. Yeah, who's liable? Someone put something, in the public, cause someone damage. Right? Just read something earlier. Somebody, because of snow, a branch from their tree fell, broke a person's bike. Right? Smashed a person's bike. So they said, okay, I'll get around, it's too cold out, whatever. I'll get around, to getting rid of the branch, cut up the wood, whatever. Very good. And what happens? Some other kid was riding, and the branch caused also a problem for this bike. Was he liable or not? Right? The person with the branch, was he liable? So there was a whole discussion. There's a whole discussion. So that makes it a little more real. If you're talking about oxes goring each other, it doesn't sound so real. Right? You got to make it real. Right? The Gemara has to come alive. If it doesn't come alive, then the person's not going to be into it. They're going to be into a different case because it doesn't speak to them, right? I hear that all the time. This doesn't speak to me. Okay, so you got to make it real. You got to make it in realistic terms. What's going on? How do I relate to it today? What does it mean an ox, another ox? Okay, so whoever's teaching it, the rabbi, whoever's teaching it, has to make it real for them as much as possible and understand the ramifications. Very good. That's what you got to do. Right? Someone asks, what's the Talmud mean? Teach us on a nice trade. Right? So do I would do the same whether you break your back or not? What's a clean trade? What would I say is a clean trade? It's something, it's very hard to find today because, it's got to be something that you can do where, you're not going to have any liability. Meaning, there's much less chance of cheating someone or anything like that. You want to give them something, that has less problems, right? Less problems either cheating others or misleading people or different things. I was involved in real estate back in the day, and I found people want to cut corners left and right. Right? They don't want to pay what they said they were going to pay, different things, even if you made them sign a non-disclosure, this, that, all kinds of things. I thought, well, it's one of the worst professions. People are so underhanded, but wasn't, it can be a relatively clean profession. Can be. Are there unscrupulous people in every profession? Probably. Probably at some level, some better, some worse. But what's the Gemara, what's the Mishnah telling you? Right? Or what's the Gemara telling you? Gemara is telling you find something that doesn't have that. That has less unscrupulous people. There are things that are easier. Doesn't mean not physical work or not backbreaking work, but something easier. That you're not going to have any issues. Right? You're not going to have any, unscrupulous issues. Very hard to find. Very hard to find. But you find something that, you take someone who, not everyone's going to be able to do this, train to be a surgeon. Yeah. Let's say someone trains years and years, becomes a surgeon. Pretty clean profession. No pun intended. What are you paid to do? Surgery. What do you have to worry about? What's there to worry about? They can say malpractice suits, other things, but again, your job is to go in there and be a surgeon. That's your job. That's a relatively clean profession. Being a doctor might, could also be, not everyone's going to have the brain power for it, but again, then you run into other problems. Run into malpractice, you can run under end-of-life issues, different things. But if you're there just to, person's a GP, right? General practitioner. Let's say some people come in, aches, pains, this, that, give them this, give them that. Some things are more straightforward. Other things like a guessing game. Person comes in with, this pain, that pain, say, okay, try this, try that. They based on what they say, what it could be, or what it couldn't be. It's not so easy things. I think, there are other things. Let's say, being an accountant. You know the laws, right? You know the laws. You can guide people on, what they should do, what they shouldn't do. Can that be unscrupulous? You got to come into the fraud, commit fraud also. Yeah, that's definitely true. Or they can defraud others. Right. But again, you can almost any profession you can find problems with. So the question is, if you find a profession that has less problems with that. Something easier. Person comes a blacksmith. Any problem, any serious problems being a blacksmith? I don't know. Running a farm. Any problems running a farm? I mean, like, there's certain things I would say that easier, less problematic. Less problematic when it comes to, fraud and other things. But, you could say there are people that, that are out there that do things, and even though it's a cleaner profession, they also commit fraud. Okay. Right. So again, we're talking about a profession of less issues with fraud and other things. And that's easy to do. It's not hard. Now, it could be backbreaking labor also, right? Clean profession does not mean it's not backbreaking, right? Could be backbreaking also, using strength, but it's an easy profession. Someone who's, let's say, I don't know, they drive a forklift. That's what they do. Load things, unload things, this, that. I think, is that a clean profession? Should be. Right? Not knowing much about it, I would think it's a clean profession. Yeah, clock in, you clock out, this is what you do. Not backbreaking per se. Other things are more backbreaking, okay. But again, what can go wrong being riding a forklift? What problem, what fraud could be there? So that's a problem. You do your job, you leave. Put on a building site. Let's say, unless you're making things, let's say, that are not the quality that it should be. Okay. But I'm saying in general, this is how you build a house. These are the materials you need, right? You get the best materials, you get the people to do it, you do the work, can't be backbreaking work, okay. But even if it is, you're getting paid to do your job. That's it. It's hard if you're working in the elements, it can be very hot, it can be very cold, this, that. Say a carpenter. You work in a wood shop. Can also be hard, different ways. You're not necessarily taking them by the elements, maybe you are. Right? And that might be easier in some ways. So, the idea would be, or let's say better, the idea would be, person work at something where they can make a lot of money and they don't have to work as many hours, right? Everyone's looking for that. Easy job, right? Do something not so hard, not so much physical labor, but you're doing it in a way that you can make a lot of money. So then on that, someone says, so it's not picking the easiest job you can find, right? Because you're not going to get the same livelihood, right? So, you can pick an easy job, but an easy job doesn't mean you're going to make a lot of money, right? And easy is a relative term. Maybe some people think this is easy, other people think it's hard. It depends, right? But if you're doing it for long periods of time, you'll see. Is it really easy or it's not? There's some people like to be on the phone, like to speak to people, so they get involved in telemarketing, right? So a person has to know, you get someone on the phone, how many of them are actually going to close, and getting by the gatekeepers and different things. Some people love that. People love that challenge. Some people love working, trying to sell things or whatever based on commission. But how can a person do that in general? You can only do it if you love what it is, if you believe in the product. If you believe in the product, and try and sell it because you believe in it, right? So is that a hard thing? Depends what it is. Depends how you get it out there. Depends how a person can have a good product. Let's say, if they get it out there, if they get someone on the phone, they should be able to close it. Now, not everyone will be able to do that. Maybe close 1 in 10, 1 in 5, 1 in 8, whatever, whatever it is. Whatever it is, but you got to believe in the project. You got to believe in the product. Very hard to sell a product you don't believe in. Even if you got the best script and this and that, you won't sell it, right? Because you don't believe in the product. There are people that don't like to sell them. Plenty of people rather have someone else sell it. You got the product, let them sell it. You don't want to be on the phone with people, this, that, right? So, there are things that are easier. There are things that are not, there are things about every job people don't like. A person can like certain things about their job. Let's say they're good at what they do, but they don't like to sell. They don't like to get on calls. They don't like to speak to people. They don't want to sell their soul, so to speak, for what they do. They want to do that. But someone else do that. Right? They just want to do what they do and what they're good at. Plenty of people like that. So good. So then you have to pay somebody to do it. Okay. You give them a percentage, but you get the work. Obviously someone would rather do it themselves, but you're limited in time. You got to deal with other clients, different things. Can't always be on the phone with people taking calls and this and that. You need someone else to do it, right? If you got time in between to do it, good, right? So kind of a catch-22, in that sense. So easy can mean that there are less problems with it, and you can make a living from it. But again, today you find people, what they want to do is, there are people passionate about what they do, there's no question, right? But the thing is that people today, I think some people, I'm not gonna say everybody, but I think some people, even if they're passionate about certain things, they want to make a lot of money doing nothing or doing very little. That's what they want to do. People out there just want to con people. Yeah, I don't know. They want to do things honestly, okay. But the work ethic, I think, is pretty bad. From what I see. There's a lot of work. So if things don't work, then you got to tweak it, and then leads to other things. Yeah, let me see other questions here. Somebody asks, I heard one of Rabbi Mizrachi's lectures. He said, main reason we're waiting for the coming of the Mashiach is to end the exile of the Shekhinah. Well, that's true. God's presence is not here, right? We're living in a world of Hester b'toch Hester panim, right? A world of hiddenness within hiddenness. That's true, right? That 100%. That 100%, is true. So God's presence isn't here. That's true. If we start from the Sod level of Torah, then the reward of the Pshat level of Torah understanding. What about starting from Pshat and rewarded with Sod? Let me ask another question. There are 4 ways to learn Torah, right? Pardes, Pshat, Remez, Sod, Vidrash. Pshat means simple explanation. Remez means hints in the Torah. Drash means homiletic interpretation. Sod means Kabbalah. Now, someone asks, I don't even know why you're asking this question, but somebody asks, you want to start from the Kabbalistic level. Let me ask you. I'll ask everyone the same question, because these are questions I don't normally answer. But I'll do everyone a favor and answer it. Someone who's asking a question without being able to read the Aleph base, in general, in lack of tremendous amount of knowledge, why in the world would anyone start at that level? You're not holding by it, not even close, right? Think about it this way. If a person wants to learn calculus, right? Higher mathematics. Can you learn calculus without algebra or trigonometry? No. Can you run before you learn to walk or crawl? No. So if you can't run before you walk and crawl or study high mathematics without algebra or trigonometry. How in the world are you learning Kabbalah without understanding basic explanation of Torah and having vast knowledge of Torah? Impossible. So now you're going to ask the question, if we started from that level, which you shouldn't, because no one has that knowledge, but if you're going to start from that knowledge, that level, and be rewarded, how are you going to be rewarded with simple explanation? Simple explanation is exactly what it stands for. That's what Rashi does. Rashi explains according to simple explanation. Simple explanation means, what does it mean? What's going on? Without, sometimes they'll bring in a medrash, okay. Sometimes they'll bring in a medrash, right? They'll bring in a homiletic interpretation. You look at the beginning of Genesis, he does that a lot, because when you deal with creation, very hard to understand. Very hard to understand according to simple explanation. Rashi says, I can't learn a simple explanation. I have to explain it through a drush. Homiletic interpretation. Rabbeinu B'chaye, in his commentary, what does he do? He gives simple explanation. After he gives simple explanation, sometimes he'll give a homiletic interpretation. He'll go through drush, and after that, he'll go through Kabbalah. But again, not in every verse. But the last explanation he gives usually is in Kabbalah. So now, if you want to take that at face value, what is he explaining first? Simple explanation. What's going on? Then he'll go more, let's say, homiletic interpretation. Now, Kabbalah is, much more esoteric, much deeper. So now, how would we compare something like that with, understanding something on a totally different level than understanding simple explanation? Right? In other words, you want to say, if I start from Kabbalistic explanation, why should it be rewarded to the Pshat level? Totally different level. Totally different level. It's like someone understanding, all of physics there with a physics problem, and someone only took physics in high school. Who gets more understanding? Obviously, the one who knows all of physics. The one who understood in high school ain't get nothing, right? I'll give you another example. Dr. Schroeder once told me, wrote a book, Genesis, the Big Bang. So he once said, right, he was reconciling physics according to the creation of the world, right? How physics in the world in general, in science, does science hold the same thing as the Torah, whatever. So he once told me he was a physicist, taught at MIT, and he told me that when he speaks to college students, about this, he says within the first 5 minutes of when he opens his mouth, and he speaks about physics, he loses it. Totally loses it. Now, you're talking about someone who's got world-class knowledge in physics. If he's got world-class knowledge in physics, if he's analyzing a problem, isn't it different how someone else who's a beginner, at best, is going to look at the problem? If he's battling out with another physicist, good. They're on the same level. Right? Let's say. Or maybe the other person knows more than them. Okay. So let's say that's true. Yeah, that's a very different level than someone coming with a high school education. So are they going to be rewarded with the same level? Why should they? It's a much higher level. Right? Simple explanation is one thing. I'll give an example. Let me give a better example. Let's look at the tree of knowledge. Spoke about this last week. Let's look at the tree of knowledge. Tree of knowledge, Adam and Eve, God says, don't eat from the tree of knowledge. Right? Book of Genesis. What does God? God says, Adam and Eve, don't eat from the tree. They eat from the tree. Very good. Or very bad. What does God say? Okay, I'm throwing you out of the garden. He gives all these curses, right? To Adam, to Eve, to the snake. Throws them out of the garden. Right? Why did he throw them out of the garden? Because they can't eat from the tree of life. Why can't they eat from the tree of life? Because they have to die. Right? They brought death to the world. That's not a Jewish concept. Very good. So since they brought death to the world, they have to die in order to get their soul fixed up to go into paradise. Right? To go into Gan Eden. To go into the Garden of Eden. Very good. Now that being said, simple explanation is what? Simple explanation is ate from the tree caused death to the world. Very good. Now, what is the tree itself? You say it's understanding between bad and evil. Okay. Sorry, bad and good. All right. Very good. All right, let's now dig a little bit deeper. What's going on? What does this tree of knowledge represent? Says in Nefesh HaChaim, right? The soul of life, brought down by Rav Chaim of Volozhin. Chaim of Volozhin, famous student of the Vilna Gaon. No one ever learns usually the first three gates. A lot of it very much steeped in Kabbalah. But they learn the last gate about the importance of learning Torah. Very good. What does he say at the very beginning? Person thinks their actions aren't worth very much. Gives a few examples. One of them is eating from the tree of knowledge. Now, what's the tree of knowledge? Without going into it. Yeah, tree of knowledge was all the spiritual worlds entrenched in the tree of knowledge. So once man ate from the tree, chomp, 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 whatever it was. Some say it was wheat, some say it was fig, some say it was grapes, whatever it was. Yeah, all the spiritual worlds got messed up. But we're in this world to fix that. We're in the world to do mitzvahs, to make blessings, right? If you're a Jew, to do all these things to try and get these spiritual worlds fixed up. Now, if you understand at a very basic level, the tree of knowledge is what? Whatever it was caused death to the world. Good, that's a basic level. If now we go to this whole thing that Nefesh HaChaim said, in all the spiritual worlds, now we get into a much deeper level of what it represents and what happens and how we're here to fix it, right? Everyone else is in this world or to try and fix that, bring the world back to where it was. It's the only time in history that was the case, is when man got to Mount Sinai, right? Jewish people got to Mount Sinai, accepted the Torah. Then the Satan says, wait a minute, if the world went back to where it was before Adam and Eve sinned, read the book Derech Hashem, he speaks about it, very good. The Ramchal there speaks about it. So he says, okay, if that is the case, the Satan, the evil inclination, whatever you want to call him, says, my job is going to be over. God's going to kill me. I have no more purpose. I got to do something to get them to sin. What does he do? He shows Moshe Rabbeinu in a coffin. They say, Moses is dead. We need an intermediary. The mixed multitudes, right? Make the golden calf. They make the golden calf. Very good. That brought the world back to where it was. Now, if the world was at where Adam and Eve, before they ate from the tree was, guess what? The Messiah comes. That's when the Messiah comes. So we haven't got there. But they were at that point. Have to give you Torah Mount Sinai. Now, isn't this a different level altogether of learning than just from them eating the tree? From the simple explanation, oh yeah, a lot of ramifications. Talking about the end of days, talking about going, talking about, Messiah coming and all these things. Different level altogether. So now, get back to the original question. Original question is, can a person go from Kabbalistic explanation to the level of simple explanation, get the same rewards? Why don't they get the same reward? Why should they get the same reward? There's no reason they should get the same reward. Because Kabbalah is on a different level. But how many people holding according to Kabbalah anyway? We should at least be learning a simple level or a little bit beyond that. Not Kabbalistic level. Yeah. That's what I would answer. That's what I would answer for that. Now, based on what we said before, livelihood, it's a hard thing in general. Now I see Torah's all intertwined. What happened? Adam and Eve ate from the tree. So God said, now you got to work hard. Because all his food was taken care of. Everything was prepared for him. And now God said, the earth's going to give birth to what? To thistles and thorns and different things. You got to work the land. And all that. You want to make ends meet, you're going to have to work a lot harder. You're going to have to work. That was one of the curses. Right? You're gonna live by the sweat of your brow. That was one of the curses. So we always have that. We've had that since time immemorial. Some people have it easier, some people not. Right? But the bottom line is people have to work for their bread. whatever level, they have to work. That's why it's funny that people say, "Oh, all these people sitting and learning," and all these men aren't working. Yeah, how many people over the age of 25 sitting and learning full time? In general, it's like 0.25%, not even close. Talking to all the people, yeah, we're talking, a quarter or 1%. And most people aren't working. At some point, and even one sitting and learning, they're going to be doing it forever, right? Most people can't do it forever. You got to support your families, unless the wife has a very good job and whatever, okay, and she can support her. So that's what she's willing to do, but it doesn't always work out that way, right? A lot of times it doesn't work out that way, but and I meant to say also, that because the person asked about a clean and easy trade, right? So people want to maximize or should try and maximize to the best of their ability. Something's going to give them more opportunity to learn, right? What does that mean? It means that, someone becomes a surgeon, right? Let's say. Now, it's going to spend a lot of years in school, and then, perfecting their trade, very good. But guess what? If a person's a surgeon, they're going to make a ton of money. But see, not only are they going to make a ton of money, they're going to pick and choose when they do it. The hours are much more flexible in general. Now, why would someone pick that choice? First of all, you can make a lot more money in shorter amount of time, and you can maximize the time you learn. Now, not everyone's going to be a surgeon. Most people are not going to be surgeons. So the idea is you find something, a person, should find something where they can maximize time, to learn. Or even if they're not going to make as much money, right? But, let's say they'll make halfway decent money, let's say. But their schedule allows them to learn. Right? I remember, not about the real estate, I told people that, before 12 o'clock, you ain't getting a hold of me. Well, that's like absolute emergency, right? But even then, I said, these are my hours. I spent the first 3 hours learning. I spent the rest of the day working. Okay. But you say, but you only have money on commission. Very good. That's true. So you hustle. Speak to people, this, that, right? A lot of things got to be done. Okay. So I made time to do that. I had certain hours. But you have to have certain time to learn. Now, sometimes it doesn't work that way. Sometimes, a person has to work from 8 to 4, 9 to 5, 10 to 6, whatever, 9 to 6, whatever it may be. You don't have as much time. Okay. So however much time you have, you're going to make that effort. So finding something, clean and easy is one thing. And finding where you're going to maximize A, the amount you make, and B, the amount of time so that you're able to sit and learn more. Right? That would be the ideal. That would definitely be the ideal. Because then you get the best of both worlds. Right? But the problem is that it doesn't always work out that way. Probably a lot of times it doesn't. Doesn't mean you don't try though. Right? If something comes up and schedule's gonna be grueling, but you're gonna make a lot of money or make good money, you gotta think, is it worth it? Because you still have to learn. You still have to prioritize. And some people forget that. Some people say, well, it's going to make a lot of money, so if I learn a little, I learn. If I learn a little bit in the morning, a little bit at night, that's good enough. Okay. Let's keep in mind one thing, certainly for men. And that is when they're not working, they got to be learning. I would want helping in the house. Okay. You got to do that also. But, you have to have a balance. So really, the wife, once he comes home, eats something, sees kids a little bit, and regardless of the day she had, she has to send him out to learn. He's got an obligation to learn. Someone asked a question, interesting question. Someone asked, if I come home, I'm dead tired. If I go out to learn, most likely I'll fall asleep. Fall asleep while learning. What's better? Learn at home? Or go out and learn knowing I'm going to fall asleep. So Rabbi told him, it's better you go out to learn because your kids see how important learning is. You can tell me there's a very good chance you're going to fall asleep. Good. Right? There's a very good chance. But they see how important learning is, that you go out to learn, not you just learn at home. You're part of a group that's learning, whatever. But, it's hard. First of all, the balance is hard. Second of all, it takes a toll on the person. Right? But, again, if the permissibility for a person to work and earn a living means when they're not working, they should be learning at some level for however long. Now, some people think, they make the mistake, but they think that I need to work this amount. And I need to work extra because of this and that. They may find out that the things they did extra took away from learning, where they didn't really have to do it. You're going to say, but how do they know? They think they're putting their best foot forward. You're right. But putting your best foot forward in this case may be forbidden. Because who says you have to go that far? Could be a lack of emunah also, because you're saying, because the person essentially saying, well, I need to work this amount to make this amount, make this amount of money and this and that. Well, can't God give you money in that amount of time? Someone sent me a clip of a rabbi saying, basically, if you're working more hours than you should, you have a lack of emunah. You work 40 hours. That's what you work. But I need to make extra money. You work 40 hours, God will pay you back otherwise. Right? And then this rabbi was saying, you see, that, you'd be able to work less and make more, and make the same amount of money or make more, and you can earn more. But a person thinks, if I don't work this amount and I work extra, I'm going to make more. You might lose also. Even if you made more, that money could go out the window because medical expenses, car problems, other things. So you might as well work a certain amount, and then the rest you're going to say, you know what, I'm going to learn. I'm not going to do more. I'm not going to work extra. Because essentially, what does working extra do? This is a Q&A before. What does working extra do? It shows a lack of emunah. Because you're saying that, if I do this, I'm going to make more. Who said you're going to make more? Who said you're not going to lose other places? And not only that, if you work more, it's a lack of emunah. The God can't take your needs even a 40-hour week. And you see, maybe you don't even know this. Maybe you don't even need those 40 hours. Right? Person may find you don't need it. Right? You definitely don't need it. Right? You find that out. But if not, that's a lack of emunah. A person say, but I'm not making ends meet, this and that. So I need to work. So how do you reconcile that? And he says you'll get money otherwise. So, but I don't see that according to nature. So you don't see it, doesn't mean it can't happen. But a person should not be lacking emunah. A person can say the same thing. Say if I don't work on Shabbos, I lose out. That's not true. You say, but I have the store and other people are going to go to the competition. Okay. Yeah, maybe they will. That doesn't mean you won't make ends meet. That doesn't mean you lose out. No one who keeps Shabbos loses. You don't lose. You might see it as a loss, but you don't lose. Because the God who can take care of your needs in 7 days can take care of your needs in 6 days. Right? God has a big bank account. God's got a huge bank account. Huge bank account. Right? Huge bank account. So he can take care of that. He can take care of it in 6 days or 7 days. Take care of it in 5 days. You can do anything. You have to have the right mindset. You have to have the right mindset. But God's the X factor here. He can make you work a lot and this and that, and things don't go. Why don't they go? Because he doesn't want it to. He wants to squeeze you. Why does he want to squeeze you? Good question. But he wants to make life more difficult. He wants your prayers. He wants your soul, so to speak. Right? That's why the commentators ask that Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, if they're all barren, right? They're difficult in conceiving, very good. Why did God do that? Is it natural for a woman to want to have a child? It made it so hard. God made it so hard. Right? So why did he do that? He did it because the commentaries say, because God wants the prayers of the righteous. He desires the prayers of the righteous. What does it sound like? Sounds cruel. In other words, you're going to do this, God's going to do this, God forbid, make their life unbearable because they really want to have kids. When they see other people having kids and different things, they find it hard. Right? Someone doesn't have children is considered like they're not here in this world. Right? That's what Rachel says to Yaakov. Give me children. He yells at her. So what? Do you think I'm God? Right? It's very hard. Even secondary infertility is very hard. Imagine someone has a child, see all their friends having child after child. 7, 8 years go by, doesn't have a child. It's also hard. That's why God put them through that. He put them through that for one very good reason, because the prayers are such pure prayers, we'd have no idea how many tragedies it stopped throughout the generations. When a person goes through dire straits, they're putting themselves on the line. They're saying, listen, there's no other God but you. I can only rely on my Father in heaven. That's what he wants. That's what he wants to see. We have to see. Can't rely on anyone. That's what Mary said last week. Said this week also. That everyone's ecstatic, or some people, ecstatic that Trump became president. You can say whatever you want about him, but like he's the savior. He's like, that's heresy. Might be the best president Israel ever had. True. Probably going at everybody. It's not an issue, right? But again, what about God? How do you take God out of the picture? Doesn't say in the dollar bill in Trump we trust. No, it says in God we trust. Now he can be good for Israel, he can be bad for Israel, right? Good for the economy, bad for the economy, right? Who knows? See what happens. But everyone's is saying big sigh of relief. Certainly Harris isn't in, and it's better for Israel. It's true. I don't think it's not true, right? But who's the ultimate savior? Ultimate savior is God Himself. You don't rely on flesh and blood. You don't rely on mankind, right? We make that mistake. Where do we see that almost more than anything else? You see it by World War II. See the Americans, stop boats coming in. They don't want to get involved in the war. They knew what was going on. They wouldn't bomb the camps, different things, railroad lines. They don't want to get involved. So one thing you see beyond the shadow of a doubt, cannot rely on man. Period. Can't rely on man. And God will show you that. Showed it during the Holocaust. And you see today. People go to university, their own students ready to gas them. Things haven't changed. The last 70 years. They haven't changed. Now it's like all coming out in the front. People aren't hiding behind it. They're just hiding their faces. Behind the mask. Like, come on. You want to say all this anti-Semitic stuff, just show your face. What are you afraid of? There was a story of a reporter that wrote a book, and I don't know, said some good things about Israel, and like someone came in protesting, like yelling and screaming, and calling it pro-genocide, and what they did, what Israel's done, against the quote-unquote Palestinian people, and like all these different things. Or like went on this tirade. So this reporter, whatever, wrote this book, looked up and says, you can say what you want, why don't you just take off the mask? Just take off the thing covering your face. What are you afraid to show your face for? Right, that was it. That was the whole conversation. Right, just show your face. You got something to say. Say it, good. So show who you are. What are you afraid of? Yeah, you wear this keffiyeh thing around your head. Like, just show who you are. Things haven't changed. Things have not have changed. But, what do we see? Smarter the person, right? I heard a number of people say this. The smarter the person, the greater the opportunity for them to be an anti-Semite. Now, someone will say, come on, right? You say by, people don't know very much, and, it's true. All these people over all these protests saying from the river to the sea, but they don't know which river or which sea. Okay, they're totally uneducated. They're a bunch of punks, punks and thugs. Okay, right? That's true, right? That may, very well be true. But at the end of the day, what do people stand for? Whatever you think, whatever's going on, whatever they think, doesn't matter, right? But you see, you cannot rely on men. If you have three people saying, genocide only matters on the context, that's insanity. You wouldn't say it about blacks, you wouldn't say it about Asians, you wouldn't say it about Hispanics. But you can say it about Jews. Only depends on the context, really. So we're a different breed. Esav hates Yaakov. So that's the way it's going to be till the end of days. It's never going to change. Sometimes better, sometimes worse. Right now it's probably an all-time low, but there's serious issues. There are serious issues. But intelligence does not breed morality. Someone asked a great rabbi once, said, would you send your kids to university? So he said, if they would come out as moral, if not more moral, then yeah. Then I consider it. But not the case. Totally not the case. Especially today. I mean, I went to university many years ago. It wasn't a bastion of morality. Not what I saw. But these are like the movers and shakers of the next generation. But you see intelligence of the breed morality, right? I don't even have to speak about this generation. You look at Aristotle. Aristotle known to be a womanizer or other things. His students caught him in the act once, doing something really crazy. He said, what are you doing? He said, well, there's Aristotle, the philosopher, the great mind, even as Rambam said, one of the greatest minds in history. And there's Aristotle, the one who does these other things. Well, we don't compartmentalize. Person has intelligence, you use it for the right thing. Right? Give an example. You take somebody, dress up in an old coat, and he says, the 7-year-old kid says, today I'm Napoleon. Says, come on, your name's Beryl, you're not Napoleon. It's like, yeah, just put on these old clothes, I was pretending. Right? You got a 25-year-old, wears this old army suit, whatever. He says, I'm Napoleon. So how could you be Napoleon? It's like, 400 or 500 years ago, whatever it was. How could you be Napoleon? He says, I'm in hiding, incognito. Right? So someone who's more intelligent can come up with other explanations of why they're doing what they're doing based on, whatever they come up with. Whatever they come up with. Okay. Very good. So someone who's more intelligent, they're more likely to twist things, to turn it into a pretzel in order to do what they do. They take someone like Bertrand Russell, right? Went to my alma mater. Bertrand Russell taught ethics, known to be very unethical. So I asked him, how could you teach ethics and be unethical? He said, if I taught mathematics, expect me to be a square. Yeah. Isn't that a contradiction in terms? Yes. Isn't every individual in the world a contradiction in terms? Yes. We all do things wrong. We all do things we shouldn't. Doesn't the Gemara say anyone who sins? Why does someone sin? Because nichnas bo ruach shtus, entered in them a stupid thought. Because if you know better, there's a God in the world, the repercussions for what we do. And I'm not saying it's just about fear, but how could you go against your creator? How in the world could you go against your creator? Forget about what the punishment is. Don't you know what the reality is? Don't you know that any sin in general is a rebellion against God? True. What's the answer? What's the obvious answer? Obvious answer is we have a evil inclination. Evil inclination, causes to all kinds of things. You look at Uncle Esav. What did Uncle Esav do? He's willing to give up his spiritual world in the world to come for a bowl of lentils. I'm starving. I'm going to die. Give me this bowl of lentils. Right? Give me this food. What did Yaakov say? Sell me your birthright. Give me this food. Sell your birthright. But I'm about to die. Sell me your birthright. Sells it. Commentaries say, right? Rabbi would say this as well. Then what did he do? He's willing to sell his spiritual world, portion of the world to come for a bowl of lentils. And we do the same thing. Anytime we go according to our evil inclinations, that's the same thing. We give it up for what? A little bit of benefit, a little bit of enjoyment. And it is. We're not going to say no. It's enjoyment. People have fun doing whatever they do. So what do you do? So what do? You say, come on, it's fun, it's enjoyable, it's this, it's that. Very good. Are you willing to do it? You're willing to do it because it's fun. Maybe you don't care about the repercussions. Maybe. Yeah, it's too enjoyable. Makes sense. Totally makes sense. So what's the person willing to do for? So are we any different? It's kind of depressing though. Because if you look at Uncle Esav, you're going to say, look at his parents. Look what his grandparents were. Look what his pedigree is. He had unbelievable pedigree. Very good. Because his unbelievable pedigree still caused him to go according to evil inclination. So that's even more depressing because you could say, if that is true, then what's it going to say about us? What's it going to say about us? So they say that until Bar Mitzvah, you could not tell Yaakov and Esav apart. They say that the Chidah, great commentaries more than 500 years ago, says that Esav was 1,000 times greater than Yaakov. 1,000 times greater. Like you say, okay, maybe it's an exaggeration. Maybe it didn't necessarily mean 1,000, but he's saying it's much greater. How could he be much greater? How could he be much greater? And the answer is he applied himself. He could have been head of 6 tribes. And Yaakov could have split the tribe. He could have had tribes come out of him. Obviously, it didn't happen. Why didn't it happen? Because he went off, did his own thing, so Yaakov got all 12. Mind-boggling idea. Could have been that great. Right? What does the Mishna here say? Mishna here said, an evil eye, an evil inclination, and the hatred of other people we'll speak about, can take a person and remove them from this world. So we haven't got the evil inclination yet. But you see by Esav himself, the evil inclination destroyed it. Right? Not only that, his head, the Medrash says, went into paradise. Went into the cave of the patriarchs, not his body. Why? Because his head knew what the right thing was. Knew what the right thing to do was. His body killed him. His body caused him to go off and do what he did. That's what his body did. So you're going to say, come on, look at his pedigree. And a much greater pedigree than any of us combined. Much greater pedigree. So if there's no hope for him, there's no hope for us. But that's not true. He had hope. He could have done the right thing. He was even greater than Yaakov in a different way. He had greater potential. What happened? His greater potential got flushed down the toilet because of desire. And we see it all the time. Greed, power, honor, glory. You look at, the 19th century. What was big in the 19th century? Social Darwinism. So, survival of the fittest. Squash other people so you can get ahead. You had Walmart, all these other places, come in, and the mom and pop stores got knocked out. They got knocked out. They could buy in bulk. Other things destroyed them. Destroyed them. Well, what's someone going to say? What's someone going to say? They're going to say, come on. It's business. So what goes on in business. You don't stay strong, whatever gets swallowed up. Can happen. 100% could happen. You're not up to date, this and that, you fall by the wayside. Right? Got to be up to date. Got to be able to multitask. Got to reinvent yourself in different ways. True. We said before, God will give you what you need and all that. True, but you got to make the effort. But the thing is, you got to be honest. You got to do what you need to do. Not a guarantee for success, but look at the world. It's a doggy world. And people out there squash other people to make themselves ahead. How many times have people heard someone did something to someone else? Got them accused of something, they walk in and take the job. I didn't take a survey, but I've heard a number of stories. Because the person, wanted to be at the top. So what do you do to be at the top? You squash someone else in the process. Oh, it's unhanded. It's evil. It's forbidden. You're right. All the good things. Do people do it? Some people do it. Take shortcuts. Wouldn't it be great to take shortcuts? Right? I've been looking for shortcuts in Torah forever. You're not going to find them. The only way you get the knowledge, you got to work. Like anything else, you got to work hard. If they don't want to work hard, they want shortcuts. They want the easy way out. Okay. But see, that desire, that jealousy we spoke about before can kill someone. Literally. Can destroy them. Because we said, in the name of Rabbeinu Yonah, what do? They're jealous of what someone else has. Right? They won't be able to function. It burns in them. It takes them out of this world. Jealousy destroys. So therefore, I should have this, I should have that, I should have the other thing. And if I can't have it, why should you have it? Yeah. People do all kinds of things because they want things. And if they want it, they'll do whatever they take it. They'll do whatever they can to take it. They don't care. They'll circumvent you. I had that by a certain real estate deal. Oh, they're making that much money. I got circumvented for some of it. Right? And someone said, well, they told me it was okay. I said, did you hear from me? Right? It's happened on Shabbos, by the way. Or it's a festival. Right? Could be contacted. Very good. So they're going to go through. So next time you hear from the horse's mouth. And that wasn't a major deal. Was not a major deal. But even for the sake of a few $1,000s, someone will do it. Now you can say, in the benefit of the doubt, maybe they really need the money, maybe this. Okay. So how halachically, and in this world, how would I look at it? God wanted you not to have that money. Why? Good question. But he wanted you to get shafted a couple $1,000s. That person was a conduit, right? He's the one who caused it. Is he guilty? Yeah. God sent him to do that? Yes. Why? Don't know. But he wanted you to take that loss. Okay. That was a small deal. Imagine what happens in big deals. What people will do to connive or whatever to make more. People are greedy. Sometimes it'll cost them. Sometimes it costs them a lot. But that's what it dwells on. That 100% is what it dwells on. Person wants it, they're jealous, and they'll do whatever it takes. And they'll decide, well, I really should pay you, but I'm not going to. Or I'm going to pay you less. Or, other things. I know of stories, somebody's been with someone, for many years. One day wakes up, guy takes all takes all the merchandise and flees the country. Yeah, sells it, whatever, flees the country. Guy loses everything, he can't get him out of the country. Well, the person set him up. Whatever. Can happen. Again, a person can say, come on, it's not so common, doesn't have this. Okay, whatever it is. And what if it does happen? What does it show? What does it show? People want to make money off you. People are unscrupulous. You could tell me, well, maybe by some people, what they do, they get desperate. Person gets desperate. They do all kinds of things they shouldn't do. True. Right? That can also be true. At the same time, you can cut them a little bit of slack. You can say, okay, the person got desperate. They used you. Not an easy thing to go through. Right? If you were, besides being rip-roaring mad, but if you were clear thinking, you could have compassion for them. Even though they caused you damage. Right? But, not talking about that. Talking about pure greed. Thinking, I deserve this. And, how many people in business have got shafted because of it? In all cases, different things. But, person got to be careful. Be careful what you deal with. Anyone, works someone else, can have everything in writing. Make sure everything is clear. Right? There are no loopholes. People can't get out of things. A person breaks the contract, you sue him. Essentially, you can sue him. We don't have to do that. You don't have to go through all the, aggravation of doing that. But it happens. So how do you guard yourselves? You do whatever you can to guard yourself. Most important thing is you put everything in writing. That's the most important. More important than anything else. Could a person even get shafted with that? Again, anything could happen. If God wants you to lose, you lose. Doesn't matter, it doesn't matter what you do. But you're not going to reinvent the wheel. People think that, they can reinvent the wheel. They can do things that, go against what the Torah says, go against what God says, and they think they won't get caught. They get caught eventually. Even if they don't get caught, they'll get caught. God will take care of them. We have no doubts. God will take care of them. It's hard to go through. Right? It's hard to go through. All right, and the person stole all my money. Okay. Went to jail. I'm not going to say what happened afterwards. Don't believe it. But whatever. Went to jail. He's no longer in this world. Guaranteed he's paying for what he did. I have no doubts about that. But we believe that God's going to take care of business. Whether in this world, the next world, or both. We just feel bad if the person did something wrong, then why are they going to take care of now? Right? So that's a lack of faith. That's a lack of, that's a lack of emunah. Because God will take care of business, no question. No question. But we're left holding the bag. We're left going through this. True. True. Makes it harder. But I would say we have to see the bigger picture. And the bigger picture is it happened for a reason. We don't always understand the reason. A lot of times the reason doesn't make sense to us. Why do we have to go through it? And I'm going through all this and, working very hard and this is my reward. I've heard it many times for a lot of different things. And this is unfair and that's not fair. Keep in mind one very important principle. And the principle is life is not about what's fair. Life is not how we perceive it. We have to go through it. We have to deal with it. A lot of difficulties we go through along the way, but what's the bottom line? God's the one in charge. He is the one in charge. Period. Remember, we said this many times, you got to say it at least 100 times a day. 100 times a day, so you have your head screwed on straight. That no matter what I do, it doesn't matter. God's the one in charge. Does that mean I have to put my best foot forward? Yes. Does it mean I have to work hard? Yes. God's the X factor. And all things around us are for the sake of a test. That's what we're here for, the Ramchal says. We're here to toil. That's what we're here for. Sometimes it's easier, sometimes not easier. Doesn't matter. We are here to toil, period. Why does this person have this? This person doesn't have that. This person struggles. This person has it easy. The age-old question. Age-old question. But you look at what someone else has, it's none of your business. None of your business. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Shouldn't be looking at what someone else has. We're going to see one day when I'm about 97, the Mishna says, who's considered rich, he's happy with what he has. I always speak about a lot about that. Not looking at what someone else has. He's happy with what he has. Static what he has. That's what's considered rich, right? No one else. No one else. Yeah, that's how I have to see it. It's the only way to see it. It's the only way to see it. That takes away a lot of things. Say, but this is painful and this is hard. Okay, life's not easy. It's not supposed to be. How am I supposed to view it? How am I supposed to live it? Even when life seems impossible. Even if we do it to ourselves, doesn't matter. There's our Father in heaven. Father in heaven calls the shots. And when life is hard, and even when life is good, you reach out to him. He's the one in charge. Right? Easy to reach out in certain ways when life is very hard. Because you have no one else to turn to. He can change things the blink of an eyelash, right? Sure, Hashem Kerafai. Salvation of God, the blink of an eyelash. Right? Things can change. Seen it with myself, seen it with others. When you least expect it, that's when you expect it, that's what happens. That's what happens. Whether it's about livelihood, whether it's about, whether it's about family, different things. You have to know how to deal with it also. And there are plenty of challenges. Plenty of challenges. Some have it easier, some not. But again, life is not what is about fair or not. But what we have to go through, what we need to do. Right? Even if we do it to ourselves. Okay, we did it. You got to go through it. You got to deal with it. Regardless of how hard it might be. That's what you got to do. That's what your obligation is. And how are you going to look at the world? How are you going to see the bigger picture, even when it's bleak, even when it's dark, even when it's very hard? That's what we got to do. Nothing more, nothing less. You're going to say that's oversimplification. Okay, maybe it is. But it gets you through life. 100% it gets you through life, even if it's hard. But again, if you're looking the way other people live and what they have, it causes you serious problems. Very, very serious problems. That's what it does. So it doesn't matter what someone has or not. It doesn't matter. Yeah, any other questions? All right, I'm going to stop here. I do this every Saturday, 2 o'clock Israel time, 9 o'clock Israel time. Anyone has any questions, find me on Facebook at Chaim Kaufman, Beyond Orthodox Conversion Judaism, orthodoxconversion.com, Beyond Orthodox Conversion Judaism on YouTube. There I got videos on Q&As, ask about fathers, book of Leviticus, send me an email, rabbichaimkaufman@gmail.com, RBBICHAIMCOFMAN@gmail.com. Next week, next Saturday, I won't be around, so there won't be any class. It's a catch me in 2 weeks. I'll be traveling next week. So anyone, again, has any questions, can email me. Otherwise, going to sign out, whichever good. Beginning of the day, middle of the day, end of the day.